Hello, everybody. My name is Skylar Lambert, and I'm a presidential diamond with It Works, and I have a bunch of other presidential diamonds on here. And today we really want to kind of unpack the idea of warm messaging. I know a lot of people on this Zoom that do it, and it's really working well for them. So I just wanted to get them on here and share their ideas and let you guys kind of understand the difference between what a cold message is and what a warm message is, and exactly how to do it. This is something that I personally have not done, but I really am interested in finding out more about it and learning. So whoever wants to go first, the show is yours. Take it away.
I can go first. I'm Christina Treat. I've been in the business, it'll be 7 years. And so I built my whole business to rapping. I went out and did rap parties. And I had more kids through the time. So I have 4 kids. And so it got harder for me to get physically out and do parties. But I'm going back to that because that's what I'm good at. And so during that time of me having babies and being home, I did do a lot of my business on social media. So when I would meet people, I would try to connect with them on Facebook, but we've already had that interaction face to face. And so when I would get them on my Facebook, we would already be interacting because I've already met them before. So I'd get them on my Facebook, we'd interact. I would feel like I kind of knew them somewhat. And so what I would do is, we would just kind of comment on each other's stuff for a while. And I finally would just send them a message and say, oh my gosh, I love watching you with your kiddos. It's so much fun. Whatever the case is. And it was great connecting with you. I'm just wondering, have you ever thought about making some extra money being home with your babies, or something similar to that message? And for me, this always stuck to me. Amber Parker, Ambassador Diamond, always said, you're not cold messaging unless you have a cold heart. And so for me, I am always going into every conversation and every time that I message anybody about the opportunity, I'm going into it with a warm heart because I know what it's done for my family and my life. So I feel selfish by not sharing that with people. And I may not know them on a personal level, and I may not know everything about them, but you're on social media and a lot of stuff is shared on social media. And so you have that interaction with people. And so for me, when I am sending these messages, it's not just a quick message like, hey, have you heard of It Works? Have you tried that crazy rap thing? I'm being genuine and saying, it was great chatting with you. I love watching your kiddos. I just want to see if you've ever thought about making extra money. And for me, it's worked really well. I've never, ever, ever had anybody say to me that they felt spammy or that, some people just say I'm not interested, and that's okay. But remember, people don't say yes right away. So for me, that's worked well for me. I always try to make it about them. And so if I see them home with their kiddos, or if I see them struggling, maybe they want to go on a date night and they can't afford it. And so I'll think of those things and I'll message them and say, hey, this may be way out of line, and it's been on my heart, but I just want to shoot you a message. I saw your post the other day about you wanting to do date night. How would you feel if you were able to do date night every week and not have to be stressed about money? So I just kind of do things like that. And for me, it's worked well because, again, I feel like if I'm not sharing with everybody that I come in contact with, then I feel like I'm being selfish by not sharing the opportunity. So that's what's worked well for me.
Awesome. I'll go next. I'm Erin Austin. I've been in the business for over 6 years. I've pretty much built almost all of my business on social media. I did party a little bit in the beginning, but my social anxiety is pretty severe, and never really was my wheelhouse. It's just not how I've built. I've got to get a little bit better about that. So, even as a presidential who's been in for 6 years, I'm still working on figuring this out. As far as messaging, that's really the bulk of my business. I have 3 kiddos, and one of them has complex special needs, and I am all over the place with her. I do not have a lot of time to work this business. So when I am going to message someone, and right now I'm really focused on Instagram, I always tell my team, pick one. If you still have a ton of warm market on Facebook and are growing your warm market on Facebook, go for it. But right now I'm all about Instagram. I am only messaging people who I really earnestly want on my team. That's a huge thing for me. I'm not just going down a list and picking anybody. If I look at their newsfeed and I don't feel like they are someone that's going to really work this or mesh with my team, I'm not wasting my time messaging them. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to talk to them if they reach out to me, but I'm really focused on, I want the people who are like-minded, who are already taking selfies, who are already posting well and doing those things. And so I'm finding them and I'm reaching out to them about something that has nothing to do with It Works, because if I want them on my team, I want them to be my friend. So I'm reaching out to them about something that has nothing to do with It Works. You know, maybe they're a fellow special needs mom. And so I'm just saying, hey, what's working for you with feeding? Or maybe they love yoga. And so I'm asking, you know, do you go to a studio to practice? You know, starting the conversation and getting to know them as a friend. And then being able to say, you know, I absolutely have loved following you. I think that, you know, I have so much in common. And one of my favorite things is that I truly have built an Instagram following of people that I love. It's weird. I don't know how it's happened. And I really do think all of them belong on my team. And so it's easy for me to say that and just say, I know you've seen my crazy posts about my crazy life, but I hope you don't skip over the ones about my business. I think that you would rock at it. I think that's something that we could do together. I really make it an actual conversation as opposed to a directive or an invitation. I really want to have a conversation with them. I was just teaching my team this last week. I realized at the end of August, is this September? Yes, at the end of August, I realized that I had not added names to my prospect list in over 2 months. So I had not like started new conversations. So for 30 minutes, I sat on Instagram. I went back to my last 2 business posts and I saw who liked those posts. And most of them I had been interacting with already, and I messaged them. And in 30 minutes, I added these names. These are people that I messaged and just said, hey, girl, I saw that you liked my post. You know, it was me with crazy hair or something. You are always so sweet, and I just love following you as well. I do have to ask you, because I'm a chicken and have been meaning to for a while, but would you ever want to hear about what I do? That's it. That's all I said. Every single one of these people said, yeah, sure, tell me. I have no idea what you're talking about. One of the girls on here, Brooke, has been following me on Instagram for 3 years. And I have never asked her, and she's never asked me. She is actually signing up this week. So that's just a really easy way for me to warm message. They've liked my stuff. We've interacted. Why not message them? And like somebody said, if you're not asking them, I mean, I had to be asked. I would never, ever have messaged my upline and said, tell me what your business is, ever. She had to ask me for a year. I told her no for a year. So messaging with the intent of just, I'm going to share this. And if they say no or not interested, I immediately change the subject. That's not a big deal to me. I don't care if they say no. If they say no, I'm going to talk about what their kids are doing or what their plans are for fall break. I'm going to immediately change the subject so it's not awkward and they don't suddenly feel like they have no value to me, because their value to me is far beyond yes or no to this business. And that's the place I have to message from. I'm not in control of the response. And if they say no, there still can be a friendship there. So I think if you take that pressure off of you and off of them, then it's going to be easier for you to message with warmth and with authenticity. And I never send the same message more than once. I know that that sounds crazy, but I cannot copy and paste. I just can't. And that does not mean I don't use scripts. I absolutely do, but I never send the same one more than once. It makes me crazy. I'm a writer. Maybe that's why, but those are my best tips. And using the like tip is the easiest for those of you who are like inching into it. If they like my stuff, they're inviting me to message them, in my opinion.
I love that. Thanks for sharing. Rachel, you're up.
Okay, so I actually have changed things like drastically from when I joined. I don't party like I should. I don't know, like how I look at it is, I remember when I joined and the girl that signed me up, she was forcefully trying to get me to have a launch party, and I was so terrified because I didn't want anyone to show up. So I've never been that leader that's forced my team to have launch parties, and I know that that's bad. That's something that I've been praying about because it gives me anxiety. But the point I'm trying to make with that, I don't party and I'm not the best blitzer, is I've completely built my business from social media as well. And so actually when I joined, until I think I went, until I went double in 5 months, but I think it was until I went triple, I did build my business solely on the horrible cold messages that give people a bad name. I'm just going to be honest, because I know that there's still trainings out there where I was telling people everything I did, and it's not what I do anymore. And I don't remember why I stopped doing that. I think just because of all the backlash. But what I used to do, and I used Facebook for the first year, and then I transitioned into Instagram. What I used to do is literally have a script that I sent to everybody about, like, hey girl, you're gorgeous. I stay at home with my husband, we make 5 figures a month, like that one that like makes your skin crawl that you shouldn't do and that we tell our teams not to do. So I ended up the reason why I stopped doing that was, well, one, because I was treating everybody like they were the same and I was getting a lot of backlash. I was getting a lot of good people that maybe could have joined me if I built a relationship first. But I just stopped doing that. And so I just started building a relationship. But I think that the biggest thing that I have done that has like helped my business is, well, I just feel like when people think of warm messaging, they think of, or even building a relationship, we think that we have to build a relationship for like a year before we message someone, or for 6 months, or until they're interacting back. And I mean, just speaking from like how I feel, I know people have different opinions on this, but like, I don't feel like you always have to wait for them to interact back. I think it's just important that you make your presence known. And so I just stopped using the scripts and I just kept it short and sweet. Like the first message I sent, like 2 to 3 sentences, if that. And I would just like, if it was someone on Instagram and I liked them, I would go to their or go to their Instagram, interact a little bit, whether that was like 1 day of interacting or 5 days, depending on the person. I just message people. All I literally message is like, if it's someone that scares me, because I still get anxiety doing this, like I just did this morning before I got to bed, I did 5 people on my chickens list. And I just said, sometimes like I just assume that they already have been asked, because I feel like if you assume that they've already been asked, they don't necessarily come at you aggressive, because I feel like that's the reason why people don't hold messages, because they're scared they're going to get their head bit off. So like this morning I did like 2 messages to these sexy people that scared the crap out of me. And I just said, okay, I know you've already been asked probably 100 times, but why aren't you doing what I do? And when I do that, like people, there are people still that will be like, what do you do? But for the most part, I've noticed that they go to my Facebook, even if they weren't following me or whatever, they'll go to my Facebook because they don't want to seem like dumb and asking what I do. And then they already know. And then if it's someone that's been asked like 700 times, maybe, they're not going to jump down my throat. They're going to be like, oh my gosh, girl, like 700 people have asked that. I'm flattered, but no, thank you. And then kind of like Erin said, I'm not going to just cut it off. I'll just talk to them about something else, or be like, okay, totally fine. Your kids are super cute or something. But a lot of times when if I either assume that they've already been messaged, or I'm like, okay, I see you on my newsfeed all the time. And I don't know, I just make jokes like, why, like I'll say like, why aren't we best friends? I feel like you could kill it on my team. Or I don't like to say on my team, but like just stuff like that. Or, hey girl, I'd be doing an injustice if I didn't message you. It's been on my heart for a minute now. Just stuff like that. Carter, please open the door and get out. But I just keep the first message like 2 to 3 sentences, and I just try to make it like light, because I don't want people to jump down my throat. And honestly, the only person that's really been negative, well, someone did screenshot my stuff once, but like other than that, the worst thing that happened was someone called me like a crazy lesbian, and that did not hurt my feelings, because I was like, okay, if that's the worst I'm ever gonna get, then I can totally handle that, because I'll be a crazy lesbian. But other than that, that's what really works. And there's been so many people that have been like, really? Like they're like flattered, like I had never thought about it before. Or on the flip side, they're like, I've been thinking and thinking, I just don't know if it's for me. But like, no matter what they message back, if they message back that hasn't been shut down, I usually always voice message them. And then I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was freaking out waiting for you to message, because I've been so excited about messaging you. So I just wanted you to hear my voice, blah, 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 blah. So I think that the biggest thing that helps me, I'm sorry that you're hearing my son. I think the biggest thing that helps me is just being confident. Shut the door, please. Being confident, I'm sorry, just being confident in what we have, and just knowing that they don't always flood, shut the door. They don't always flood your inbox. It's up to us, I feel like. And there's just been so many people that I've added to my team that have been really good. That was from me messaging them. Like one of my girls that's going double diamond this month, she posted something on her Facebook. It was a really dramatic situation that was really unfortunate, but I messaged her about that. And then it was so easy for me to just easily transition into, I feel like at this time in your life, you need what I have. And that I feel like we have this connection and we would be best friends. And I never had met her before, but I just had this connection to her. And I don't even think I ever interacted on her stuff, but I just saw her thing on my Facebook. And I feel like that was God, because she ended up joining my team 3 weeks later. And now she's so freaking incredible. And so I don't know, I just had so many people that's worked well for. And then the past 2 months, I've actually really, really slowed down to where it's like minimal messaging. And I've signed one distributor in the past 2 months. So I feel like when you're not messaging, you're not necessarily getting people because they just don't always flood our inbox. And so I don't know. I don't ever get backlash anymore because I don't use those scripts that are like horrible talking about how much we make and stuff. I really don't know why I made those scripts, but I mean, they got me to double. But so I just think that that's the biggest thing, is just doing like a couple sentences and just being funny about it if it gives you anxiety, because it does give me anxiety. But I mean, for the most part, I'm outgoing. I'm shy, but like I want to be best friends with everyone. So if I just like make that kind of a joke as to why I'm messaging them, and I'm not just that typical it works girl, they're flattered. Even if they turn me down, they're flattered. And then I'm like, okay, at least they didn't bite my head off. Moving on, kind of thing. So that's my stance on it. I just think that people, it's so hard to like understand the definition of cold messaging and warm messaging and social media blitzing or whatever people call it. I feel like when you think of warm messaging, you think of like having to build that relationship for 6+ months, and it's not necessarily always that. So that's just my personal stance on it.
That's so awesome. And the whole reason this kind of sparked me was because I was talking to Rachel last week, and she was like, you just wait for people to message you? I'm like, yeah, doesn't everyone? And she's like, no. And that just kind of made me think, like, literally almost half of my team is doing this. I had no idea. It's just a topic that most people don't talk about. And I have to be open-minded to change, because this business is constantly evolving and we're constantly learning new ways to do it. What worked last week might not work next week. And I want to make sure that everybody's teams are getting, the right answer and the right way of doing this. So I'm so glad that you guys are sharing that. Rachel, didn't you tell me that one girl that you messaged, she signed up and she got like 400 in volume and like.
Yeah. One girl, that was really crazy. So I'm telling you, like, my cold messages really are, my actual cold messages when I joined really were gross. But like, no one taught me it. I don't even think I watched the training. I just pulled it out of my butt, which is probably why it was horrible. But like, one girl that I signed up on the last day, I think the second to last day of last month, she messaged me, and she sent me this long message of like, this long message saying she's watched me long enough, she's finally going to jump in, blah, blah, blah. And then when we were talking like a couple hours later, she said something about that first time you messaged me a year ago. And I was like, so I went to our conversation and I didn't have any messages. And I was like, do you have those messages? Like, I don't remember ever messaging you. And she screenshotted them to me. The first one was like, okay, girl, why aren't you on my team? And that was at the beginning of 2016. And then I messaged her again, a nasty freaking loyal customer script about hair, skin, and nails, and she ignored it. So she ignored both of those. And then I messaged her one more time, and I said something like, okay, I'm annoying myself, but really I feel like there's a reason why you're still on my newsfeed, and I still would love to have you on my team. And she didn't respond. So I must have just deleted her conversation, our conversation of me blowing myself up, and assumed she wasn't going to sign up. But she said that she saw my initial message, and she was like, it was something that intrigued me, but I just knew that I had to watch you for a while longer. And it's funny that I wrote her off, because she watched me that whole time, and I just deleted our messages thinking she hated me, and I didn't want her to like attack me if I did a fourth message. And she got her like 5 customers the first day and was at 399 GV by her 24-hour mark. And I'm just like, damn, that is just so crazy. And she's like, the only reason I was intrigued by you is because you messaged me that first initial cold message. I just didn't respond because I wasn't ready yet. And I just thought it was so crazy, because at this point where we're at, where it's very rare that you're probably the only It Works person on Facebook. And so I just think about like that girl that I signed up, the girl that I'm talking about. She's so like, she went to high school with Zach, but she's so shy and quiet and like timid. And I don't think she would have ever had it in her to message me first or anybody first. So like, I was happy that I did that. I just was embarrassed at the ones that she screenshotted to me, but I just think it's crazy.
That's awesome. And I just think that, we're withholding ourselves in this business because of our own like personal reasons or our own insecurities. I know the reason why I don't walk up to people in a store and hand them a Blitz card is because I don't want them to think I'm some freaking weirdo that is stalking them in a store, like the people at the mall that hand you lotion packets. Like, I don't want to be like that. So the way that I Blitz is I just wear my gear and I start conversation with people, and I kind of hope that they bring it up. And if they don't, sometimes I do. But it's the same concept. Whenever you're out in a store and someone has a great personality, or you like the way they look, or maybe it's their shirt or whatever it is, you're going to ask them if they've ever thought about joining you in the business. It's the same thing online if you think about it in that aspect. So does anybody else want to share how they message people?
I just had a quick tip. I said in the chat, like I am not awesome at social media, but so we've really been talking to our team about that this is a tool and that we have a tool bag with all the tools. And so I have been trying to teach them. I think I have definitely been telling them, similar to Rachel, like when I message someone, I'm like, hey, I've totally been stalking you, like blah, 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 blah. Like I'm totally really goofy in that way. And, but I think it was really hard for our new people to figure out how to do that for whatever reason. Like they just are really nervous about messaging in the first place, let alone like being really goofy and silly like that. And so I gave them, like, basically they have a message and they fill in the spots, but like I told them always start with their name. Like I don't teach them to say like, I mean, they can say whatever they want, but like for me, if I'm messaging someone, I'm like, Skylar, like exclamation point. I don't say, hey Skylar, hey girl, hey, you know, boo-boo or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like, Skylar. And then I tell them to say something about their page, like not that they're beautiful or whatever, but something that they would know from their page. Like I see that you have 2 awesome boys, like it reminds me of my boys or whatever. That's not even the best example, but you know what I'm saying. So say something particular about their page, give them a compliment, and then if they're working a business, like go from like a business aspect. Like I see that you have a really great mindset and that you're an entrepreneur just like me or something like that. And then so they say something nice, and then I think you would be awesome at what I do. They need to say, I think you would be awesome at what I do, or I think you'd be great at what I do, or whatever. And then keep talking. And then at the end, are you needing extra income at all? So like the 2 things I tell them to do are, I think you would be awesome at what I do. Are you needing extra income at all? And so they fill in the blanks with everything else, like with all the personal stuff. Like it needs to be a written out personal message. But those are the 2 things that that they put in there that get the people to respond. And we get lots of responses from this. People saying, well, what do you do? And I'm thinking, you could just go look at my Facebook page, like, which means that I must not be showing up in their newsfeed because they don't know what I do. But I get a lot of responses that are, well, what do you do? And then obviously team members, then you go through like, what do I say I do? And I'm like, well, what do you do? Like, where you just want to be like, talk to them like they're a normal person, but they want that script, and you're like, stop with the scripts. Like, so that's what I do. I just try to be super, super goofy, be myself, but put in those 2 lines so they like can get a response, basically. That's all I wanted to add.
Hey, can I say something real quick before the show goes? Just because I don't know how long the show will take.
Yes.
Okay, real quick, because I feel like people also, their biggest thing is not knowing who to message and whatnot. But what's helped me a lot lately this past week, because I've been going hardcore back into messaging, is you know, those cute, like, just the not like generic it works post. So like if it like that I did a funny post yesterday about before kids and after kids, like the Barbies pooping on the toilet. I don't know if you guys saw it, but like a post like that where I know, like this one, a post like this where I know like I'm going to get a lot of like shares and likes and whatnot. Seeing someone like that obviously has nothing to do with It Works has made it so easy to message those people too. And I'm not saying anything about the post or anything, but like this has helped me with Instagram and Facebook. Just random people that are really pretty or people that I want on my team have been will like that stuff, and they don't like any of my It Works stuff. And then I'm just able to message them. I don't do it directly after I message everybody that liked it. I messaged them today from yesterday, but I just will message them and be like, okay, girl, like, what's the deal? Why aren't you doing what I do, or whatever it is? But like, I don't even have to say anything about like, you're on my timeline or whatever, because they liked that picture. And I don't know, it's like the type of people that are liking them are the type of people that like scares all of us. I feel like the blogger type or whatever. And it's just, it just makes the conversation that much easier when I message those that like my non-It Works things too. I'm sorry, that might have been a given fact, but I just feel like people are still so scared of like not knowing when to message people. But I don't know if you were telling me to talk about the GIFs or GIFs, whatever you call them. Yeah. Oh, are they GIFs or GIFs? Because I keep saying GIF and people say it's GIF. GIF?
GIF, like gift without
GIF? I still swear it's a GIF, and I'm gonna call it.
It's not.
Someone yelled at me, and I was like, "It's GIF," and they're like,
It
GIF.
is GIF.
That is.
It is.
It is. I worked in the magazine industry, and I used to argue about this too because it is not phonetical, and I'm an English major, and my design team was like, it absolutely. We went to school to learn this stuff, and I was like, okay, it's still GIF, but no, they swear that it's GIF.
Everyone.
Y'all, it's blowing my mind. It's like when somebody uses a comma incorrect, just kind of like, ugh.
Well, and like emoji, people have been saying emoji, and I'm like, what? Have I been like under a rock all my life? Emoji and GIF. Well, whatever. I'm gonna say them how I've been saying them. But when it comes to GIFs, like GIFs, okay, now I feel like a moron. GIFs, GIF, they work out in my favor when like I message someone and they don't message me back, and it's like 2 weeks later or whatever, and I still want them on my team, obviously. Just sending those, like if you type in waiting or anxious, or like you can type in anything, and they're funny and obnoxious. So I'll put them in my chat with the person, and a lot of times they're like, ha ha ha, I'm sorry, I must have opened this up, some bull crap lie, but they at least message back, and at least it's not like, I mean, I just, again, feel like it takes the pressure off, and it's not one of those situations where they'll screenshot your thing and be like, oh my gosh, this annoying It Works girl keeps blowing me up. It's like, okay, you're actually funny. Maybe then I'm comfortable enough to tell you why I'm not, or you got them into the conversation. So I do those all the time, especially if it's been a couple times of messaging that person and they haven't responded. And I feel like that's something that's so huge, is like people think that if they message one time that they don't have to message again, and it's uncomfortable. Well, it's always uncomfortable, but like it just, that girl that I signed up at the end of last month was just the perfect example. So just don't give up after messaging one time. Just make the situation funny, because it's uncomfortable no matter what.
Something I do too, if they're ignoring me, I blame it on myself, which is ridiculous. But I act like I'm the one that forgot to reach out to them. So, I mean, you can look and there's like 6 messages where I'm like, maybe it's Taylor Swift doing something stupid. I'm like, hey girl, it's me again or whatever. And you can just see that I've obviously been keeping up my end of the deal. But I'll be like, you know what? I just realized I never got your order for Green's Place. I am so sorry. They've ignored me like so blatantly, and I don't even care. I'm just going to act like it was my fault. I'm so busy. I dropped the dang ball, and it works so many times. It's almost like reverse psychology. It's almost like they think, oh, I told her I was going to order. Yeah, she totally dropped the ball. She sucks. I need to order from her. I don't care if they think I suck. I don't care if they think I dropped the ball. I want them to use the products that they're going to love. So that's another tip. But I am the GIF queen. I absolutely love it because I am awkward naturally. I am awkward and sarcastic and almost offensive naturally. So I'm just going to lean into that, you guys. And you need to lean into whatever it is that is your strength. And I think every one of us can agree there's a little bit of awkwardness. And this is the ASL sign for awkward turtle. I make it all the time. I mean, it's not for awkward turtle, for turtle, but we use this all the time on our team because I am that person. So just be yourself, and people are going to be more attracted to you, your product, and your business if you're stupid and make fun of yourself and blame yourself for crap that's not your fault.
Michelle.
Hi.
Hi.
Good morning. I woke up late. Okay. So I don't know if anybody talked about this in the beginning, but I would love to talk about how I go into messaging, and I'm just super organized. Like, I'm super organized with this since day one. And I don't know how you specifically like target people to message, but I have like, it's like a dating system for me. Like, it's like you need to have qualities, I guess, that I would like want to message you, but I do it that way. And I like to pick like small numbers. Like when I tell people that I'll probably only message 5 to 10 people a week, they're like, what? And I'm like, seriously, I only message 5 to 10 people a week. But it's because I feel like when I've decided that I want somebody on my team, that I'm going to be working on them for a while. Like I'm all about quality over quantity. I am so hard on it that that it takes a while to get them, and I understand this. So what I like to do is I usually like to pick like 10 names, and this is what I've done forever. I took a nice 2-month off there for a while because I needed to. But what I would do, depending on what day of the month it started on, because my OCD, I would pick 10 people out of my network. And those 10 people would be the 10 people that I would work on all week. And I'm going to tell you strategically how I go into the message. But these are the 10 people that I would turn on post notifications on right away. So I turn on post notifications so that they're going to see me on their posts immediately. But I'm like an analogy person. So the analogy that I have for like potentials is kind of like dating. So like think about this, like I used to see, like in the beginning, I used to see people just throw that message right in, like just that inbox, like they just went right into the inbox. But like, here's the thing, when you walk up to a guy, do you just like go like, hey, you know what? We're just going to have kids and get married. No, you have to flirt with him. You have to get him to be interested in you. You have to get his attention. Messaging is like that for me. Like I've seen people just go like right in for the kill. Like no. So what I like to do is first turn on post notifications. They do not know that I'm going to message them. So I have a 72-hour rule, which means that I have to, and sometimes that 72-hour rule kind of just change based on how active they are on social media. But in that 72 hours, I'm going to like and comment for sure on a couple things so that they see me. And then after that 72 hours are over, that's when I ask a question on one of their posts. The reason why I do that is I feel like 72 hours is like the bare minimum of like time that I need to like kind of like flirt with you before I like go into like ask you if you want to be friends with me. So what I like to do is but it also gives me time in that 72 hours to find something to comment on. And I actually usually like to go back kind of like 2 weeks or a month. All right. So I'll either go to a profile picture that's kind of old, or I'll go to a post that's kind of old, because just like when you're looking at a guy and all of a sudden he likes a profile picture from like 2 years ago and you're like, okay, I see you creep in. Like I see that you're watching me. I kind of like to do that the same way. So I'll find something that's like kind of older, and I'll ask a question, simple question. And it's usually like, if it's a Starbucks order, like, girl, what's your Starbucks order? Or what color lipstick is that? And where did you get it from? Or where did you get that dress from? Oh my God, like anything like that. It has to be some type of question. And usually I comment first. So I'll be like, oh my God, especially if it's makeup. I usually always go for makeup. I'll be like, oh my God, send. And then another comment, I'll be like, where did you get that lipstick and what color is it? Question mark, send. Now here's the thing, is that notifications, we have to understand that they get notifications too. So just by, commenting on one of their posts does not mean that they're going to see it. So that's why I always do 2 comments, because if I commented twice on one photo, like you're going to see it. So then I have them, when they respond the next day, I know this is a process and this is just how my brain works. My brain works like this. So the next day is when I send them a message, and the message is basically, so I change this up with everyone. I like to be like, hey girl, I have another question. Usually I like to do that because I want them in that message, because as soon as they get into my message, my inbox, as soon as I say like, hey girl, I have another question. So they're thinking like, okay, she has another question about that makeup or something, or she has another question about this. She's going to answer. They have no idea that I'm bringing up the opportunity. But once they answer, you're mine. And you go on my sheet. Okay, no, there's no specific color or anything for my highlighters. But here's the thing, guys. This is my potential sheets. And the highlights are my teammates that I've assigned. So I work on these people. Like I basically, they start here. Whoever answers gets highlighted and goes on here, and then I work on you, and you're gonna become my best friend, and you're gonna go on my team. So that's kind of my mindset. But when it comes to messaging, I make sure that you have to create a message prior to bringing up the opportunity. Like I don't send like, oh my God, girl, you have to do what I do. I never send that message first. I want them to respond to me first, because they're smart on the other side. So if I can get them to respond to me, they're like, when they see me in their inbox, if they're real smart, if they have a mind like me, they're kind of know where I'm going to go with this. But if they answer, I got them. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's it.
That's awesome.
And
perspective.
And I'll tell you real quick on Instagram too, because so Instagram, I like to use, I hate Instagram actually. So I just use it as like a dating profile, honestly. Like I will go on Instagram, I will find girls that I really like. I will do basically the same thing. And I only do this sometimes. I used to do Instagram 1 month messaging and then Facebook 1 month messaging, and I used to go back and forth, but they're 2 different worlds and I don't want to do it anymore. So I just sometimes, like I'll just a couple times a month, I do the same type. I only pick like a couple on my Explorer or something that people have been liking my post or something like that. And I just message them like, hey girl, I have a question. They're like, what's up? I'm like, are you on Facebook? And like, I just put them on my Facebook because I just like to just bring people to my Facebook, because Facebook is so, you can see me, that I'm weird, that I go live, that I'm sarcastic, that I swear. Like on Instagram, you just see this girl that's really good at Snapchat filters. That's like, it's so just pictures and I hate it. I want people to see me. So I always just bring people from Instagram to Facebook.
Good job. That's awesome. I took tons of notes. All right. I need that document too. So if you could,
you want the Word document from Word that just says potential distributors on the top?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Well, yeah, Rachel just posted in the comments that it just goes to show how different every leader is. And it is incredible how we all can do different things. And I'm trying to teach my team to focus on what you're good at. Like, I've never been good at blitzing, like walking up to random people. And I spend like 10% of my time trying to get better at it. But the other 90%, I find something that I'm good at and I stick to that. And I think that's super important. I'm really good at parties and I'm good at social media, and that's what I stick to. But you're never going to find out what you're good at unless you try new things. That's kind of my idea, at least. So does anybody have any questions? I know I'd like to hear some more like organizational things. If you guys have a way of organizing the people that you're talking to or the people you're messaging. I don't know. Anybody else have questions?
I have a question for you, Skylar. So you said you don't message people. How do you sign people?
I post a lot and I message the people that like it and comment.
Okay.
But I usually wait for people to come to me, and it sucks when it's super slow and no one's liking or commenting. And then I have this horrible system. I'll just show you guys. So I have this thing right here full of leads. I've been in for 5 years, so you have to think like every person I've ever talked to is in this. Like Tiffany, her is in this. I signed her. I had a piece of paper with her name on it, and I would check every time I would follow up with her. And then back then, if somebody just like flat out told me no or kept ignoring me, I would put like an X on it because I was like, okay, I'm done bugging this person. She has an X on her name. But I reached out one more time and she enrolled. So I guess that's just my system. I always tap back into my old leads, and I've never ran out of leads when it is slow. But I feel like I get stuck a lot because I don't know how to random people. It's just really helpful for me.
So I do the same thing because I've been in it so long. I have a whole box full of leads just from expos and same thing. So just a question about that. So you messaged Tiffany. How many times did you message her before she said yes?
Oh my gosh. Well, I didn't reach out to her first. She reached out to me and she said, I want to try one of those things. That's all she said. And I was like, okay, when do you want to try it? You can get one for $25 or you can become a loyal customer and get 4 for $59. And she's like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'll have a party. I'll have to let you know. And then I messaged her, never wrote back. Messaged her, never wrote back. And I started getting annoyed because I'm like, okay, you told me I wanted to have a party. I'm not going to keep bugging you. And she knows this. She knows that she was like, annoying me, and I put a big X through her name because I was kind of pissed off. And she was like literally probably 2 months later, I want to join your team after I get my tax check. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah, right. Like, you're never going to sign up. That's literally what I thought in my head. And the day she got her tax check, she called me on the phone and was like, okay, sign me up. I'm ready to go. I'm like, but you haven't even tried a wrap yet. You've never tried any of the products before. And she's like, I don't care. I want to do this. I know I can make money at this. I was like, all right, girl, let's do it. We got her signed up, and she just signed up like 25 loyal customers in the first 72 hours. And I was like, oh, that just proves right there that you can't prejudge anybody that you're messaging. You can't think just because they're flaky, or not that she was flaky, but I thought she was, just because they're being flaky doesn't mean that they're not going to be a rock star on your team, because they can be. They just have to like want it for themselves.
That just proves too that the people that are meant to run in this business are going to get in at some point in some way. I mean, because I have so many stories like that, and some of them are my strongest distributors. And I would tell you, my very first distributor I ever signed, I thought she hated me. She stared me down at a party. I was like, this girl hates me. She's not going to be a customer. Well, she signed as a customer, and then the next day canceled her customer account to become a distributor. So, like, it just tells you, really honestly, like Pam always says, you just have to do the work and it's going to happen. And it's and also something about that, Skylar, with Facebook being a freak, they blacklist half of the stuff, you guys. They know what we're saying. They know our teams that aren't really good at storytelling. They know that they're using sales pitches that are old and disgusting, and they're blacklisting those words. And so we're having to work around that, and that's making the waiting game impossible. No one is able to build that way anymore, because I think part of me did that too, before I really had confidence to reach out to people, which I think the summer after I went diamond and double diamond is when I actually first started truly messaging people. I did it a little bit before that. They can't do it anymore because Facebook knows us. They have our number, and they're going to do everything they can to keep us from building that way. So I think it's great that you, after 5 years, are like, I'm ready to learn something new. I'm ready to teach something new. And that's showing our teams too, just like I've got to figure out how to get over myself and have some parties. We have to keep moving with the times. And I think that that's how we're going to all ultimately reach a huge amount of success, especially once we reach international. You guys, we have so much international coming, and stuff is going to have to be done a lot different. I was thinking about Asia and China, and that's where my youngest daughter is from. They use social media in a totally different way, and we're going to have to adapt to that too. And that, I'm telling you right now, China is going to make us all billionaires. That's the place I can't wait. So yeah, I cannot wait. And you're not going to have to speak Mandarin to be successful there either. So it's exciting.
I love how this business is constantly evolving, and we're constantly sharing new ways. And I think that this Zoom was really good for that. And I did mention this before we started recording, but I talked to Cammie about this because Cammie was my upline before she was ever in the field, and she's just always the person that I go to. And I feel like now she's everyone's leader, and everyone has access to ask her questions. So if you guys ever need anything, anybody watching this Zoom, make sure you're reaching out to those people, the field people, because they're here for us. And I messaged her just to get her opinion on it, because honestly, I value her opinion. I know everyone values her opinion. I told her that there's a difference between cold messaging someone and being spammy, and there's warm messaging. What's the best way to go about it? And she said, she sent me a voice memo. I was going to play it, but it disappeared off my phone. So I'm just going to kind of read what she said. She basically just said that if anything that's thoughtful, if you're being thoughtful with your words, then it's okay. If you're just messaging 700 people in a row saying, have you tried that crazy rap thing? You're asking for trouble. That is not a good idea. That's what gives us a bad name. So if you just always think right before you get ready to message someone, am I being thoughtful about this? Am I being personal with them? Am I trying to build a relationship with them? If the answer is yes, then you have a green light, basically. So that goes for someone that you might have met at a store, someone that you met at a baby shower, and that also goes for someone that you're building a relationship with online. This is a lot like blitzing in person. But you're not going to just walk up to someone random and hand them a blitz card and say, have you tried that crazy rap thing? If you've done that, you've probably gotten the response like, oh my gosh, get away from me. No, you want to go up to them and build that relationship with them and say, I love that shirt you're wearing. Where'd you get it? Or I love that you're just so bubbly and you have such a good personality. I think you'd be great on my team. You have to be personal with them and compliment them and make them feel good, or it's not going to work. So I wanted to share that from Cammie with you guys, everyone that's watching this, because I think that's super important. And I love that she just said, be thoughtful with your words. So does anybody else have any other questions that they want to ask? If not, we'll go ahead and shut this thing down. But I'm so glad that we got to do this. And like I said, it's like people are either black or white. There's no gray area usually. They either love cold messaging or they hate it. And I think it's good that we can all come together and find a common ground and kind of realize that we all have to evolve, we all have to grow, and try to find a way of doing things that is a better way than just spamming everyone. So thank you guys for all hopping on here with me. I really appreciate it. And I know everyone that's watching will appreciate it too. I'll get this posted ASAP so we can share it with everyone.
Thanks, Skylar.
Thank you. Bye.